Hello, brothers and sisters and Hard Dose family. May we all be given the burden and grace to pray for the African nations. If you're unaware, we've had some disturbing things take place in West Africa recently. There was a coup that took place last week in the Republic of Niger, which is a neighboring country to Ghana, although not bordering us, but Nigeria. What has transpired will affect us and can possibly affect the whole world, with tensions escalating and France and US instigating attacks, and African nations coming together in alliance to declare war if anyone attacks the nation. Father Derek had a dream which we believe to be prophetic, and the Lord is calling all heart dwellers to fast and pray with us. Here is an article from Al Jazeera, which I trust, that explains a bit of what is going on so you can understand. Then Jesus will touch on the subject and what he wants us to do. From the Al Jazeera news article, Niger coup, divisions as ECOWAS military threat fails to play out. So just a heads up, ECOWAS is Economy Community of West African States. Basically, it was put together by the US, and it's simply like a UN for West African nations. And it's an alliance for several West African nations that come together to declare democracy. Unfortunately, we know that whatever America is a part of always has their narrative and has their agenda. So keep that in mind. So back to the article. As deadline to restore Niger's democratic government passes, strong initial ECOWAS reactions to Niger coup now appears divided. All eyes are on the next move by West African leaders who vow to attack coup leaders in Niger if they fail to free the detained president and revert back to the democratically elected government. The deadline for the threat of force involving troops from the Economy Community of West African States, ECOWAS, was Sunday. By late evening, no sign of military intervention in Niger was apparent. While some observers say the bloc hardline stance was prompted by Western allies, they feel that America is the one who prompted ECOWAS to make such a bold statement to say, if you do not revert back to the old government, the nations will attack you. America and France in particular wanted the African nations within ECOWAS to attack Niger. So back to the article. While some observers say the bloc hardline stance was prompted by Western allies, the United States and France in particular, ECOWAS's moves reflect a different approach of its new chairman, Nigeria President Bola Tinubu, and they crystallize a fear of member state leaders who do not want their militaries getting their own ideas, analysts say. Coups are rarely carried out in isolation, especially when there are similar experiences, structures, and institutions in neighboring countries. Militaries in the regions exchange intelligence, so democratic administrations are likely worried about the possibility of their soldiers engaging in similar acts. But ECOWAS' combative response to Nigeria coup also reveals unusual cracks in the alliance of its 15 member states. So as I mentioned before, ECOWAS consists of 15 different countries in West Africa that have come together like UN to be United Nations of West Africa to kind of implement and to encourage democracy. And once again, it's backed up by the US. As the threat of regional war dangles plausible in the air, countries have scrambled to pick a side in what is shaping up to be a major showdown, with wealthier coastal economics on one side and the landlocked military-led counterparts on the other. Niger's neighbors to the west have risen to defense of the new general that has dug its heels and shunned peace talks. The military governments in Mali, Burkina Faso called ECOWAS bluff, saying an armed intervention in Niger would be met with force. Guinea also sided with the Pushtik leaders. All three countries plus Niger are suspended from ECOWAS. So as of now, guys, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Guinea and Niger are all suspended from ECOWAS. Back to the article. A former part of military-led belt spanning Africa's Sahel from Guinea to the west, the Sudan in the east. Led by Nigeria, richer coastal states are also uniting as an alarming insecurity trend stemming from their northern neighbors threatens their stability. In recent Gulf of Guinea countries previously spared armed group violence ravaging the Sahel have experienced attacks in locations bordering Mali and Burkina Faso. But in recent years, the armed groups have begun to expand their reach, pushing down towards littoral states that have historically struggled to battle piracy in the Atlantic Ocean. In June 2022, Togo declared a state of emergency in response to an attack that killed 8 soldiers. GNIM and Al-Qaeda affiliated groups based in Mali claimed responsibility, marking the first such attack in the country. Benin recorded 8 times more violent incidents last year than in 2021. Recent attacks in Côte d'Ivoire are raising suspicion that sleeper cells are already operating in the country, and Ghana, which has not suffered a direct assault, is bracing itself, pushing the Accra Alliance, an initiative to halt a violent spillover from Sahel to act preemptively. Coups in Mali and Burkina Faso have coincided with spikes in violence, analysts say. Both military governments seized power between 2020 and 2022. So guys, there's been a coup in Mali and Burkina Faso just last year and the year before that, respectively promising to an end insecurity. They've expelled thousands of French United Nations troops as perceptions that their presence did not improve security growing. Soldiers from Wagner Group, a Russian paramilitary force, are now present in both countries. The private military group has been accused of human rights abuse against local communities. West African leaders have linked the rise of military regimes to the escalating violence by armed groups as well. Omar Touré, president of the ECOWAS Commission, said in July that the barrage of coups in the region run parallel to the insecurity with West Africa and the Sahel have been facing for some time now. Meanwhile, Niger, the last ally of France and the U.S. in Sahel, saw attack-related deaths reduce more than 50% in recent years. Dialogue with armed groups, engagement with conflict-affected communities, and collaboration with French and U.S. troops helped the situation, said James Barnett, the Hudson Institution. And once again, that's from the U.S., stating that. But the new military leadership appears poised to move away from that approach. Meaning, guys, that the new military in the Republic of Niger wants nothing to do with the West and France. They want France to get out. They want any U.S. and West affiliations in the country to get out because they're a sovereign nation. They want to take hold of their own country because, to be honest, many African countries have been raped, pillaged, and taken advantage of by the West. All the resources, everything is going to colonized those who colonized them, and they're kind of fed up with that. Did they go about it the right way? No, but they're really wanting to take hold of the Republic of Niger and have all the resources that have been pillaged by France for France now given back to the nation of the Republic of Niger. So back to the article. It has already announced the termination of its defense agreement with France, said Barnett. It's unclear if Wagner will enter the fray, but there's certainly a risk if ECOWAS goes ahead with the intervention, and the junta in Niamey is desperate for external support. So how will this affect ECOWAS? This is important, guys, because Ghana is one of the leading countries in the ECOWAS group that has been formed. Our president now was a former chairman for ECOWAS in 2020. Now Nigeria president is the one who's the chairman for that. And so Nigeria, Ghana, the leading West African wealthier countries have taken a stance. There's a huge division now, taking a stance to not agree with this coup and this way of government, because they want to continue to encourage democracy. And then you have the smaller and more poor countries, militant countries like Mali, Burkina Faso, Guinea, and Republic of Niger that have been defiant and said, no, we no longer want the West or U.S. help, or our colonized masters no longer involved in our country. So there's a huge split here. And ECOWAS is being prompted by the U.S. and France to do something about it. So they're wanting to rise up, instigate Nigeria and Ghana to actually go in and fight the Republic of Niger, to fight their own brothers and sisters, to instill back a democratic government that was before. So here the article states about how it affect ECOWAS. So ECOWAS is not new to military interventions to restore order. Regional force was crucial to ending the Sierra Leone and Liberia civil war in the 1990s. In 2017, the alliance helped usher out former Gambian autocrat Yahya Jammeh, who refused to hand over power after losing elections. But Niger presents ECOWAS' greatest challenge in 30 years, analysts say. There are hard regional divisions at play now, says Barnett. This would be a messy conflict. Niger's western neighbor, Chad, which is not officially part of the regional bloc but has played a mediated role, might provide inroads for land invasion, but has not committed to military action. Defiance chiefs have said an invasion will be a last resort, but there's a chance that bloc will continue to take a hardline approach. President Tinubu of Nigeria, the ECOWAS chief, harbors personal ambition to make Nigeria a regional superpower again. And France has signaled it will back the bloc's threat, meaning that France is going to back up ECOWAS. And we all know France is against also too the Ukraine, and right now Burkina Faso, Mali, and the Republic of Niger is all for Russia. So once again, this is such a bigger issue. So that's the end of the article for Algeria News article. So the following days after the coup took place, my cousin said there were several military convoys going to and fro from the embassy that had caused so much traffic, and rumors that soldiers were being trained on how to dismantle a coup government if that took place here in Ghana. I brushed it off and thought that could not happen. I was just praying more so for mercy for the rest of the West African nations. Would you know, the following morning that Father Derek had a prophetic dream where a coup took place here in Ghana. He said there was so much pandemonium, disruption, and chaos. He was so burdened by the dream because he felt it was so real. We told his pastor and began to pray. So during prayer, I came to the Lord with all of this on my heart. Jesus, is Derek's dream true, Lord? Jesus began. It will happen eventually, my little one. War is inevitable, but the timing depends on the prayers of my people. It's time to plead for mercy like never before. That is why I sent you here to this nation for such a time as this. Offer your Lord's Supper for the sole intention to have mercy upon the West African nations, that leaders would be yielded to my spirit and not the agenda of men, and that the church would begin to pray interceding like never before to hold back the Father's hand a little while longer. There are many dynamics of power in place. Much is coming from the West and the elite globalists who want to depopulate and are using the war to do it. World War III is inevitable as well, but again, it's all the timing. Everything is being set in motions. They want to start World War III with Russia and Ukraine conflict, but Putin is a very smart man and did not budge when they advanced and invaded as he instructed them not to. He knew any form of retaliation would cost him dearly, and the world dearly, in this moment, but do not think for 1 second he's not preparing for it. All the nations of the earth are now preparing for a world war. They know it's coming, and a war of that magnitude takes time, so many nations are equipping their military security and preparing many underground bunkers when D-Day begins. For now everyone is diplomatic and smiling in each other's faces, knowing the intent of their allies and their enemies. Something of this magnitude would affect tremendously the current state of your nation. There will be many sanctions, riots, protests, and the ones who will hurt the most are the poor and street vendors and workers. The West has placed Ghana exactly where they want them to be, right in the palm of their hand, for this nation leads the West in Africa. So pray, my people, and my dear ones, back-to-back divine mercies, pleading for mercy on this nation's behalf. If war was to break out amongst the African people in the West, it will ignite a further precedent for World War III and accelerate the West's idea that war is necessary to gain control over the masses. With war comes cyber media warfare and mind controlling. They have done it so well to cover up the truth about Russia and Ukraine conflict that many are blinded to the truth and the current motivations and actions of America's current president. Many are waking up and catching on to their lies and false narratives spoken in the news about the situation. I said, Lord, something like this will put a hold on everything. I can't imagine there'll be government sanctions, lockdowns, you name it. How can we prepare? Jesus responded, For now, my little one, get your flock praying. Offer novena for this intention and pray the divine mercy very intentionally for Ghana and all of West African nations. It would be good to keep a large amount of their currency money on you, beloved. The thought came to my mind to keep dollars instead. No, beloved, it won't be of value. It won't be of much value when something like this takes place. Do not fear, and know that I am with you. I stand with the nation of Ghana. All those people have gone wayward in immorality. There are many who sincerely cry out to me and pray with pure hearts, and I hear. I'll pour out my spirit on many to give them a nudge as to what's to come, so churches begin praying for the nation. And that was the end of Jesus' message. Thank you, family. Please stand with us in prayer. We'll have this novena prayer in the comments if you want to join us. And the Lord is calling for us all to have a 21-day fast of prayer for the work of the City of God in this mission. Thank you for those who have given to us, who have encouraged us, who have supported us, and donations that have poured in. Thank you so much. May God bless you. God is faithful.